Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I'm doing the epoxy pour for this Gimli axe build that I'm working on. And I figured I'd get on here and kind of talk about epoxy a little bit, No, I'm not sponsored by anybody in this video. I wish I was. It'd be pretty cool. Tugboat, if you see this, hey, hook me up. A couple different types of epoxy, all right? And usually when you're buying it, you need to do a little bit of research into it first. I like to use Tugboat. I've used a couple different ones. This one seems to work the best for me. It hardens really, really well. It's usually very, very clear, and I haven't had too many problems with it. These are a 1/2 inch to 2 inch. Okay, so when you're going and you're doing the pour depth, if you pour too deep, you're gonna have a problem with it overheating, and eventually it'll crack and it'll start to kind of boil under there, and it'll change up the actual texture of it that you're looking at. Would highly recommend, if you're going to do an epoxy, start off with a very, very small layer, do 1/2 inch or so. Always read what it says though. But epoxy is broken into two parts, okay? Total boat epoxy, most epoxy is, but specifically total boat. You got part A and part B. You got your actual resin epoxy, and then you've got a hardener mix. This is a 1-to-1, which means you're doing a 50-50 ratio on anything, whereas something like this penetrating epoxy over here is a 2-to-1, okay? So you would do 1 part B, 2 parts A, okay? Yeah, just figured I'd hop on here and tell you guys a little bit about it. Do this pour real quick. So enjoy. I went and got a mask on because this stuff can throw off some really bad chemicals that you don't really want breathing in, like formaldehyde gas and 2 or 3 other ones. Let's go ahead and get into this pour though. So this is going to be the part A first, all right? And normally I like to have a bigger bucket when I'm doing this pours for bigger ones like full tables and stuff, but I don't have one and I don't really feel like running over and buying one right now, okay? So we're going to go off the mLs. Need to make sure you're being fairly specific about this because, again, it is a 1-to-1 ratio. So there's 550. No, you can see me putting it in this bigger bucket over here. A little mixing knife. All right. Do another 550 really quick. Alrighty. Alright, so I just finished pouring all of this epoxy right now, okay? We're going to go ahead and mix it up. When you're mixing this stuff up, you want to make sure that you mix it really, really well, okay? If you don't, it's not going to harden right. You're going to end up with soft spots. It's going to be kind of like this tacky gel. So if you're going in and you're actually mixing this, make sure that you do it for a good 30-40 seconds. I've seen some people that get stir sticks and everything. I bought this on Amazon for $3 and it worked great. If you've watched any epoxy videos, you've heard of the infamous bubbles. They make pressure chambers that you can stick it in initially in these buckets that go in, and they'll pop all the bubbles and kind of pull all of that extra pressure out of it before you get there. But I don't have one of those, so instead use this little guy right here. When you're running these heat guns, I wouldn't recommend just sending it full blast the whole time. You're going to heat up the epoxy a lot if you do that. Unless you've got, just tons and tons and tons of bubbles in there, I would recommend taking the heat gun and doing little spots here and there. And that kind of keeps your temperature down a little bit. Hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please like, subscribe, hit the little follow button down there. I'd really appreciate it. For those of you that do, all the best. Thank you.